Hello there, my name is Kirk and this is my desk setup video for December 2022. I recently did a desk setup video not too long ago, but I've done quite a few big upgrades to the desk setup that have overall improved my workspace as well as my entertainment space, as this is in the end where I spend most of my time throughout the year, whether it's for work throughout Monday to Friday or when it comes to nighttime doing my cinematography, editing and color grading work. So today I wanted to showcase all of the upgrades that I've done, from the displays to the peripherals all the way down to the nice upgrades to the gaming portion of the setup too. So sit back, relax, and let's jump straight into my setup now. So let's start off with the biggest upgrade of them all. For so long, I've been rocking a single LG 32UL950 monitor for my entire setup, where I connected my MacBook as well as my Xbox. But now I've finally upgraded to two dual 32UL950 monitors from LG, and this was absolutely an amazing decision that I'm so happy that I finally did. I picked up the second monitor very cheap. It was actually a second-hand monitor for only around about $700 or so, in Australian that is. Now the first monitor cost me around about $1,800, still cheaper than the Apple Studio display, so putting these both together cost me just under $2,500, and I'm so happy that I did it. I not only use it for essentially when I'm mainly editing throughout the day or whenever I'm doing color grading work. I have my timeline on the left as well as my full clean feed video on the right hand side, which really enables me to be able to do all the edits that I need to do, as well as be able to manage and actually see the whole picture in full screen. So before, I only was able to have this small little window, but now having dual screens is really great. Secondly, although I'll get into this a little bit later, on the left hand side of the monitor I actually have my Xbox plugged in too. So this is kind of the entertainment side, and one of the biggest things that I really wanted to do with having dual monitors is be able to have work on the right hand side, or if it's like emails or web browsing, but also be able to have gaming or movies on the left hand side too. So having these dual monitors is an absolute dream, both for work, productivity, as well as a bit of gaming, which I'll get into a neat trick that I've tied into with this monitor on the left. So that was big upgrade number one from my last setup. Now I wanted to go down onto my favorite part of the whole desk that I've upgraded recently. Although the display was pretty big, on the bottom I've updated my peripherals completely. On the right hand side I have my Logitech MX Master 3 mouse, which is great. But what I'm most proud of is using this new iPad right on the middle of the desk, which it actually isn't new. It is a 2018 iPad Pro with the single camera, and essentially I use it as a wireless scopes monitor, or really as a third monitor in general. Whenever I'm color grading and changing scopes and everything, I'm able to quickly see what those look like on the iPad itself and have a completely dedicated wireless display, which enables me to really be able to tune in and essentially see how my levels are whenever I am color grading. As I do shoot on Blackmagic RAW and a few other RAW and log codecs such as Fujifilm F-Log and the other ones out there, it is really important when I do get all my colors accurate. So being able to have a dedicated iPad to act as my scopes monitor, and it's perfect because it's almost like a square aspect ratio, the iPad itself. It's really easy to be able to have the 4-up display. I have my vector scope, my histogram, and the parades up and everything else, and it enables me to get my colors right. And it's really easy to do. All you do is jump into Sidecar in the macOS control center and you can have it as a wireless device. Sometimes I have my emails on there. Really, the sky's the limit. It is perfect, so there's not much latency, and it overall is really great. Just below that, I have the Keychron K3 wireless mechanical keyboard with red switches. It is the white LED version, so there's no RGB unicorn vomit, as some people like to call it. It's great. I love the mechanical switches and everything. The battery lasts quite a long time. I charge it around about once a week or so via any cable with USB. So it's a great keyboard and I can't recommend it enough. And one day I might upgrade to another keyboard, but I'm liking this one so far. On the left hand side, I have my wireless trackpad from Apple. Now, I don't use this as much as I used to. I usually only use it for two things, and that's swiping between desktops as well as between the timeline on DaVinci Resolve, but it is there. It's great, but honestly I'm using it less and less these days. Now all of these peripherals are sitting on top of a brand new desk mat. Now just before I get to that desk mat, I wanted to note that I wanted to upgrade this desk setup with in mind that I'm going to be doing a lot of color grading work, editing, and other type of video related material in the future, which means I'm going to need to get some more peripherals in the future, including the Blackmagic Editor's keyboard as well as a micro or mini panel. And that essentially means that I'm going to need a lot of desk real estate space, but I don't want to be able to compromise anything at all. Now the desk I have at the moment is a DIY kind of job that I did. It's around about 1.8 meters long by 80 centimeters wide, and it's really big and spacious. So I needed to find a desk mat that was essentially going to cover up as much of the desk as possible, but not all of it, because I still wanted to see that wood grain, but essentially enabled me to have as many peripherals on the space as possible. That's where the Omnidesk full-size desk mat comes in, and it is an absolute dream. I personally do have a Omnidesk at another location, which I'll do another video on in the near future. Now this desk mat is absolutely perfect because one, it does cover majority of the space on the desk itself, but mainly when I do add peripherals in the future, the actual width and size of the desk mat enables me to have the mouse on the right hand side and not run out of any kind of mouse space too, because it's so wide. Now, one of my favorite things about the desk mat too is that there is actually a cutout on the center of the desk mat, which is essentially made for the Omnidesk actual setups themselves, because this essentially is the small version of the full-size desk mat, which is essentially supposed to cover the entire desk, but this actually works perfectly with this desk setup too, because I have a Caldigit Thunderbolt dock in the middle of the desk, as well as a USB hub, so this hole in the center allows me to actually have a space where the Caldigit dock will go, in addition to having a little bit of an opening so I can still use the USB 3 hub. A lot of those large desk mats out there I really wanted to get because it would suit being able to have all the peripherals in the future, but I would actually have to cover up that inside USB hub, which I really didn't want to do. So this desk mat is perfect. Omnidesk themselves sent it out to me, although they didn't sponsor this video or anything. I really love it. It's thin, lightweight, it stretches exactly how I wanted to do, covering the stands on the monitors, but not going too far so I don't cover up the entire desk itself, and it doesn't interrupt with the speaker stands either, which is great. So an amazing desk mat. It really adds a whole bit of structure to the desk, and I'm looking forward to it, especially when I can add some more Blackmagic peripherals to the desk setup, as it will fit it all nicely. So again, thank you so much for sending it out. On to the next item. As I just mentioned, I have the Caldigit Thunderbolt 3 TS3 Plus dock on the center of the desk. Now, I've had this for a few years now. It is amazing. It has everything and connects all of my peripherals, such as the monitors, speakers, which are via optical audio, Ethernet, hard drives, my server. It's got pretty much everything. I plug one cable into my MacBook and it connects everything up. The only downside I have with this dock is that it only powers the MacBook at 86 watts, which is a little bit frustrating because my MacBook actually pulls in 96 watts of power. So whenever I'm doing very hungry tasks, or well, my computer doesn't get hungry, but whenever my computer is really needing to withdraw a lot of power, especially when I'm doing color grading and motion effects, I do have to plug in the MagSafe adapter to essentially load up all that power. Plus, it is not Thunderbolt 4. I might upgrade it to the new one in the future, but honestly, right now, it does the job, and I'll need to upgrade longer term, but we'll see how we go. It's a great dock. Save some money if you don't need all that extra power in the end. Of course, just below that, I do have the USB hub too, which is great whenever I want to plug in a few extra peripherals, and is especially going to work great when I do need to plug in some larger peripherals on the desk, because I'll have USB right there to plug in rather than having to reach up and behind the desk too. Now, looking over to the left hand side of the desk, I have my 14-inch MacBook Pro plugged in to the Caldigit dock with the one Thunderbolt cable, which all goes down this pipe, which I use for PVC cable management, I like to call it, as well as my Xbox Series X, which sits on there too. Now, this is the biggest upgrade I've done in terms of adding new devices to the whole setup. I've also added in this HDMI switcher, which enables me to easily switch between my Xbox Series X, which is plugged into HDMI on the left-hand side, with my Nintendo Switch. So forever, I have never really used my Nintendo Switch dock unless it's been plugged into the TV, but finally, whenever I want to, I can sit back on my desk setup and essentially play on my Nintendo Switch, whether or not it's Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I've been loving so far, or Violet and Scarlet, which I haven't got to yet, but I definitely will. I can essentially use this AVIDGRAM HDMI switcher, which supports two devices up to 120Hz at 4K, which is amazing. So if you have a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox, you can definitely switch between the two of them there. So it really enables me to switch between two different consoles, so I can have the best of both worlds and keep the right display up with my emails or web browsing or whatever type of research I might be doing throughout the day. As I said, so far, I'm currently really enjoying playing Cyberpunk 2077 still. I know it is old, but I'm especially looking forward to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, as well as playing Pokemon, and being able to switch between these two is really great, so I highly recommend doing that compared to having to put them on two different monitors, because you can easily just keep one monitor dedicated to all of your entertainment. Now, one of the biggest things when it comes to my setup is that because I'm mostly doing all my work throughout the day and doing a lot of my color grading and editing late at night after work, essentially it gets really dark, and I've got these really ugly yellow lights that shine down, which I can't really use to light up the room. So whenever I am staring at these monitors and I'm doing color grading work or editing or anything for that matter, it gets really hard on the eyes. That's why I put in these new bias lights which sit and adhere just onto the back of the monitors, and I can't believe I haven't done this earlier. They have two different modes, either RGB or using completely 6500 Kelvin white mode, which is absolutely awesome. If I really wanted to get funky, I can switch between the different colors, and it's got red, blue, green, purple, any type of RGB color that you'd like, well, most of them at least, as well as in combination with the Phillips Hue bars which I have on below the desk, really make the whole desk setup shine. Now whenever I'm doing my color grading work, I do set it on a separate white setting, which essentially does use a separate LED on side the strip throughout the back, so it provides an accurate 6500K white light, which essentially enables me to be able to color grade without having my eyes get too strained and have an accurate picture whenever I'm doing that really color crucial work. So an absolute must have. It sticks on the back of the monitor and really makes it easy whenever you are working late at night. Lastly, on top of the desk, I do have a Logitech C920 webcam. This is great, honestly, whenever I'm doing a lot of Zoom calls or WebEx calls, whatever I'm doing throughout the day for work. I plug it straight into the monitor at the back, so I don't have to worry about fiddling with cables and everything. Another great option with these monitors is that they all plug into the Caldigit dock, so anything I plug into there, whether it's hard drives or anything, will still connect to my computer with the one cable. I can't wait to upgrade this desk setup in the future, especially with those Blackmagic peripherals. Now that I've got the perfect desk mat, the dual monitors, I can be really productive, and I'm really looking forward to being able to try everything else too. So thanks again to Omnidesk for sending out the desk mat. I'm looking forward to sharing the other desk setup in the future with their sit standing desks, because they're absolutely awesome. But in the meantime, if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section below about my desk setup or any of my workflow in general. I'm looking forward to sharing those with you soon. Have a wonderful day, stay safe, and of course, do take care.